Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SLO City Together Podcast.
Episode 157.
158. Yep, we're doing it. We've had a good little stretch of consistency.
You know what?
In the past couple of
weeks. In the midst of all of the change, we remain steady.
One thing is constant, and that is
us.
The inconsistency of when we record these.
158. When I heard 8, it made me think of the Enneagram.
Yeah, 'cause that's what you are.
What are you? Well, I am not an Enneagram. Oh,
you're not.
Oh.
Yes.
8.
You've been ascribed.
I don't know why that was the first thought that popped in my head when you said 158. And the 8, I didn't think of 50. I thought 8. Oh, Enneagram.
Yeah, you skipped 2 whole numbers.
What are you?
9.
Oh, we're close to each other.
Although I don't like to be put in a box.
Yeah, don't call me a number.
I'm not a 9.
Yeah, you have 9-ish.
I have 9. So, yeah, they are. They're next to each other.
They are
8 and the 9.
How do they relate to one another? I wonder.
Well, it is interesting. One of the things that I've read about before is they're kind of opposites. The 8 is typically referred to as the challenger, right? Or I don't know if you've heard any other
winner
synonym. I don't think that's it. Whereas a 9 is referred to
best
as
friend,
peacemaker.
The 9 is.
Which
I was saying the 8 was best friend, my best friend.
Right. No, I know.
Okay, 9 is, you're saying 9 is peacemaker?
Peacemaker, yeah, which typically would avoid conflict.
Okay, or that was a positive side of avoider.
Yeah, a peacemaker or avoider. Yeah. Right. But the thing, apparently, you can have a wing, which means that you are closely aligned with one of your sandwich numbers.
Yeah. So
8,
which one are you more closely aligned to?
If I had to choose, so the other one is a 1, which is kind of type A. Very orderly, by the book, rule follower.
Whoa.
I'm probably more that than a challenger, I would think. But it also,
negative side of a 1 is like a little critical.
Perhaps, yeah.
Not negative.
Maybe not flexible.
I won't say negative.
We
can't say anything's negative.
That's the interesting thing about
stress.
the Enneagram is that it tends to point out your weaknesses and your blind spots. I mean, it does also give you some strengths and some perks about your personality type, but I feel like a lot of it is just kind of awareness of your flaws.
Yeah. So you think, or your blind spots,
your weaknesses, and blind spots.
Where you just said that. You just said that.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you're a 9-1.
I don't think I have a wing.
Oh, you don't.
From what I understand of it,
you are a flightless bird.
I'm a flightless. Yeah. I'm so aerodynamic. I just
stay in my lane. I am 9.
Yeah. I don't think I have a strong wing to either.
Do you think I do? Because my wings are 9.
Yeah, and 7, which is an enthusiast. If I had to choose, I would say you're probably more a 7. I feel like you are a sunny disposition. Like to do a lot of things.
Thank you, Luke. That makes me feel good.
Good. Very positive. I feel like
very positive.
A story. Well, maybe, but that's everyone. A story that reminds me of this is. You remember a few years ago, we had a fantasy football draft.
Yes.
And it was kind of a party. It was a few people at mine and Skylar's home.
Yes.
You, Jordan, I think Connor stopped by. But I remember, we're all just kind of chilling, doing the draft, hanging out. And you said, I don't remember what you said. You were like, there needs to be more action or something like that. Like you wanted some more feistiness. I don't remember this. I do remember him, but I think that is an example of why I think
I need more action.
You would be more of a 7 of like you need a little bit more excitement.
Yeah, I
typically.
I do.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I'm here for a good time.
Yeah, not a long time.
I don't know the next lyric.
Something about red wine, I think. I don't know the lead up.
Who sings that? I don't even know.
George Strait.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here for a long time.
So we're talking about the Enneagram today, I guess.
That's how we're starting. Yeah, we can.
Well, I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay.
Somebody did ask me the other day, they said, I like listening to you and Luke on the podcast. Are you guys like best friends? And I said, no. He's best friends with Jordan.
Okay, so that makes me think of another thing. Someone asked me recently, like, are you and Jordan like best friends? He won't listen to this. So he won't be offended, but he would be. If
he will
if
listen
heard
if he's on it.
That's true. If you clip this part, he might see it. And I said no, which feels offensive. I think of Jordan as like he is a very close friend, but he feels more like a brother than like a best friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
I don't know if that's offensive or I don't know.
It's funny though, because I think it was Bobby. He was like, are you guys like all like really close relationally? And I'm like, I think we're really close.
Yeah.
But we don't like, I don't know. We don't like meet up for coffee on the weekends, and I don't know what is close.
Yeah.
Who are your like what? Well, you don't have to name them.
What are the characteristics?
What are the characteristics of your closest relationships? And let's find out: are we in a close relationship?
So the characteristics, I would say, those defining of those relationships are consistency of contact.
Okay.
Whether that is in form of text or phone call.
Are you coming up with this, or
face-to-face communication? No, I'm coming up with it.
Okay, good. So consistency of contact.
Consistency of contact, communication, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And then for local, I mean, maybe this kind of goes with it, but like activity, doing things together. I think that's important.
Okay.
And I don't know. What else do you think? What comes to mind for you?
Depth of content.
You said depth. Yeah.
Depth of content.
Yeah.
I think so. Like, is there a level of, because you can be consistently active with someone and not know anything about them.
Yeah.
Consistent and you could do stuff.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
Play pickleball. Play basketball, but never have like a deepening, authentic conversation with them.
Which I actually think I think it's okay to have. I mean, certainly, I think
nominal
this,
close friends.
Well, yeah, I think it's okay to have obviously different levels of depth in your friendships, and to not feel pressured to like.
We have to be the best friends.
We have to be the best friends. It's okay to just be friends.
I agree.
And maybe that is because we both enjoy sports or something.
Yeah.
So.
And you don't have to sit there and talk about the deepest hurts or the deepest or the biggest wins, or you can just have fun watching a game.
I think what makes a best friend is shared experience and shared interest. That's something I've thought
That's
about
why we're
before.
not best friends, everyone.
Because we don't have shared interest.
We have shared interest.
We don't have shared experience.
No, we do not.
I experience with you almost as much as I do with anyone.
I agree, which is why I'm confused why we're not best. Maybe we're discovering that we are best friends if time would allow it.
I think we are. We are. I would consider you someone I'm close with. I consider you a friend.
I'm not. Hey, this is not. I know. I'm not being Jordan here. I'm not trying to tease you into
complimenting you.
Best friend.
Say nice things about me.
Say nice things.
I think it is interesting. I think the two factors for you and I are season of life.
Yeah,
like you have a family, and so your free time.
Yeah,
I know you have friends that you hang out with, but your free time is probably more centered around family.
Yeah.
And even like our social circles don't typically overlap. Right. They do sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But then I also think like working together just kind of creates a different dynamic. Not a bad one, but it feels like...
It's like we see each other all the time.
Yeah. So it feels like we hang out even though it is a working relationship.
And I'm totally content with our relationship right now.
Good.
Are you content with our relationship?
Yeah.
That's what was so fascinating, because it's like somebody was driving across the country and listening to the podcast and was like, it just seems like you guys are like best friends, just chatting and talking. And I'm like, I think we're really close friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have best friends necessarily. That's like I think that's like I don't want to say it's a younger, I don't know if people in their 40s say best friends anymore. I don't know, because there's like different levels of friend, like you just said, not levels of friendship, but different types of friends that you have that you wouldn't say like, oh man, I love that person's in my life, but so it's interesting that you described what a best friend is.
Yeah.
Because now I'm learning.
Now you're learning what it is.
I'm trying to zero in on who it is or who might it be.
Yeah. How have you noticed your friendships, especially close friendships, changed as you've gotten older and moved into because I'm 28, so I feel like
You're old.
I certainly have more freedom, right, without a family to have free time with friends, I guess.
So I think you said it. I think like stage of life is very interesting. We've always been like the first in our age range to like have kids. And, you know, I'm 42 and we have a high school graduate and we're some of the youngest, even in that kind of bucket of friends. And they're not like super old. Our friends aren't a lot older than us, but they're older. And, so yeah, it's been a weird space. Cause like when we were, how have they changed? I don't know. I think like now we're in this, I don't know. They've changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like not like the people themselves, but and some of that comes with moving. Like we didn't live here 8 years ago. And so you move to a new place and you know 0 people.
Yeah.
Then Jordan and Blair came and we knew them and we kind of knew you.
Got to know me. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I think like we kind of started at kind of scratch, which was really interesting to make new, I'm kind of going all over the place, but kind of interesting to make new friends in a new place that you had no prior context with. And I found the level of depth, at least we kind of got deeper and more authentic quicker than maybe I did around people who knew me for a long time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think so. Why do you think that is though?
Well, I think we were older. You know, I think the nature of what we were called to do here kind of brought up some of those bigger life questions of faith and purpose and struggle. I think that in some ways people were hungrier here for that depth.
Relationally.
Yeah, I think so. But then it's changed even since we've been here because, you know, life has changed and we came and we felt like we had a lot of time and a lot of freedoms, even as a family, to like people in our house and we're over there and we'll do that. And then COVID happens, the world really changes. It really did. Like it's going to be fascinating to look back and to really note and see how it changed. It changed drastically of like, I don't know, people's willingness to open up their home or whatever. And I think we're climbing out of that right now. But then after COVID, our life just picked up with kids getting older and busyness with really good things like sports. And so now our friendships and relationships are kind of tied around like who we sit next to at the game, or I don't know, who our kids are friends with and us connecting with their parents. Yeah. And I don't know. So that's, and then there's the church. Yeah. I'm just talking in circles. Great. Say something. Say something.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm processing. One of the things you said made me think about, I agree. When I moved here, I feel like the authenticity, I think is a great word. The authenticity of relationships and just like the depth that fostered felt different here, easier. Yeah. It felt like it happened quicker. Yeah. But I also remember, I think this is just kind of like a longevity thing. I think this happens over time. I remember talking with our friend Daniel, who's kind of a mentor figure to me, about 6, 7, 8 months in. I was like, I feel like I have friends, I'm hanging out with people, I know them, they know me, but there feels like just a wall of depth that hasn't, and here? I don't know. Yeah. Here. It was
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I think like, yeah. Well, what do you think that was like a fear of commitment? And commitment's weird because it's like I'm not committing to a friendship, but do you think it's like an insecurity wall in you and people, and that is it like a fear of commitment in the culture? Yeah. Is it like I don't want to get roped into a friendship that I don't want to really be in?
Yeah. I've been here 6 months.
There is like a free spiritedness in people that like California, and even just the culture of like that old Western front of like, we're moving out West and we're doing our thing and nobody's going to tell me what to do. Kind of still is real. Yeah. So
I don't think it was so much a reflection on individuals or the culture here. I think it was more, I think to feel a sense of authentic depth and connection with someone, I think that just takes time. Yeah. You know, I think that was the thing that I felt that you just can't replicate, you know? Yeah. So you can get to an authentic, deep place quickly. Yeah. But I think, you know, it takes time for those roots to grow. Like
Yeah.
if you want to take that, plant analogy further, it's like you can have a healthy, thriving, fruitful plant, but it takes time for that to be like deeply rooted. And I don't know what the conclusion of that thought is, but
No.
I think
And
that's what I
sometimes
saw.
life changes so quickly and people's seasons of life change that it's hard because like you get to a place and then a job changes or somebody moves in or somebody moves out or something happens in the world that causes stress or anxiety that just kind of makes us shrink back or not have the consistent activity of depth and shared interest and experience. Sometimes life just changes. And I think you're right to go back to the beginning. Like it's not bad. Like we do have some friends who are like, why aren't we hanging out more? And I'm like, well, like we don't need to. Like we have some friends, like you mentioned Daniel. I haven't talked to Daniel in probably a year, but I know if I saw him tomorrow, we could sit and talk hang out, laugh.
Yeah.
Just
pick up where you left off. Basically.
And that's great. Do I wish I hung out with him more? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have to? No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and
sure.
so I think like that's the beauty of just being content with where you're at. Now, I do think like there is some, I don't know, I'm not trying to teach or anything, but I think there is like maybe a moment in each of us where we need to look at ourselves and say like, am I being a good friend or am I too busy to be a good friend? And maybe because I'm not wired like that doesn't mean that my friends wouldn't like me to be a little bit more deep or a little bit more consistent or a little bit more active or, I think we did that series on relationships a couple years ago that I think about a lot, that we use the word avail of like a great friend is available, vulnerable, accountable, intentional, and loving. Or listening.
Yeah.
And I think I think about that acronym, acrostic.
I think acrostic, yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
I think about that often of like to gauge, am I that for my wife? Am I that for my kids? Am I that for the staff? Am I that for my friends? I don't know. Because I do think we can kind of get stuck in being like, well, they're not being a good friend to me. And so I'm going to go over here to this group. And it's like, well, I don't know why we're talking about this, but it's just what I'm thinking about.
No, it's good. I'm enjoying this. And it makes me think about, well, yeah, that was part of what I realized about.
This whole conversation is trying to figure out, are we best friends?
I thought we already figured that out.
No, we're not.
Another, I think, factor or just kind of thing that I was like processing and experiencing in terms of friendships in the move was, I think previously, so when I was in Louisville, I was in the season of life where people I were friends with in high school, maybe we had gone separate ways because they were moving, going to college, different places and those kinds of things. And so then I feel like my friendships certainly changed. Like the people I got close to were not the people I was close to in high school, just because that, changed even geographically. And so so I feel like I made a lot of close friends through my church, but I do think that was a thing that I thought about a lot was that I don't think they were friendships based off of a lot of shared interests other than like we were interested in community and friendship and going deeper like in Jesus-centered community. But I did notice that lack, but to your point, I think it was helpful for me to almost be forced to, in a positive way, to say like, well, these are who my friends are and these are who is around. And so rather than
I'm
like,
gonna commit to that.
Yeah.
Force them to become a square.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in this circle.
Yeah. And just say like that's okay if we don't have the most things in common, the most shared interests or whatever.
I was thinking about that.
But to care about each other.
I was thinking about that the other day about our Wednesday morning Bible study group. It has changed and morphed so much over the past 6 years. We started it at Nautical Beam before the church was planted. It was kind of like 2 or 3 of us. It's been consistent forever. And there have been many times, many moments in the past 7 years where we're like, maybe it's time to like close this thing down.
Yeah, it's run its course.
And I keep coming back to like, honestly, that is like a place of depth and intentionality with people. Sometimes some I don't really know like that well.
Yeah.
That I find life and joy and connection like with people in my life that we don't have many shared interests, but we're talking about the Bible together. And I think like, so selfishly for me, I've like, I don't want to kill that. I don't want to stop doing that. And so then I wrestle because like some people be like, well, we should hang out more after this or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Like this can be okay. Like it can be okay to have friends, like going back to that, it can be okay to have some people in your life who you spend an hour in a Bible study with and you're encouraged and charged up. And you know what? Like that's the role they play in your life and mine. And there's somebody else who may want to hike that mountain with you. Or somebody else who may, and that's not like I don't want to.
Right. And maybe
that's the role thing in me. Like you talked about our friendship and like, you know, the work role or whatever. That's been really interesting for me to navigate as the church has grown too, of like, I don't know, like even as a staff, I've noticed the dynamic shift from like, we're the three best friends that anyone could have and we're all hanging out and and now it's like, even as a staff has grown, it's changed dynamically to I think we're all friends and we all love each other, but we're all not like super like brothers-in-law and you know what I mean? Like brothers.
No, absolutely. I that was something that I felt, especially within that first year, because it was really 5 or 6 of us on staff, I think, when I started. And most of us, all but Heather, were transplants, you know, from a different area. And so we all were having a similar experience of we've left family and friends. And so I really did feel like that was my family, you know, like when I first moved here. And not to say that this current staff doesn't feel like family, but to your point, like it is different. I love who I work with. I feel close. They're friends. But I don't think any of us really like are all like, we're not needing that familial dynamic. You know?
We needed that.
Yeah, we needed it at the time. But I think, you know, and there are obviously still some of us who have transplanted. But
I do think the mistake though, when that stuff changes in your life, is to either rush to replace or like force the next thing to look like the last thing. Does that make sense? Like I had a best friend in Louisville that we would, you know, chat about and be sarcastic with,
watch sports,
whatever. And so, okay, I'm expecting the next friend to be exactly like the last friend, and that's not how friendships work. Like they just don't work like that. Like, and so sometimes I think we get to a place of discontentedness or convincing ourselves as people that like, we need this to change or be better. And it's like, no, like be content with like right now, dude, like I'm becoming best friends with my kids, like my boys, especially. Like they're hitting a point of maturity that it's like fun to be around them and fun to talk about life. And and Jen and I are like we hung out in between basketball games the other day, and it was just like we were best friends. And I'm like, awesome. This is like where, and you're engaged. Your friendship have changed because of Abby,
for sure.
Honestly, and it's not like. I don't know. And that's okay. It's okay that your friendships have changed some. And I think the mistake people make often is to be like, well, I'm done with that person because our friendships changed, you know? And we do that too quick in our human brokenness, I think, is just like, well, if this isn't going to look like it used to look like, then I'm out. You know what I mean? I think that has church overtones too. I'm like feeling that, not that anybody has told me they're out, but it's like, sometimes we can do that with the church of like, man, this used to be small and 30 people.
Right.
And now there's too many people here. I'm out. Like, well, wait, nothing's changed. Like the DNA is the same. And there's actually more people to be friends with.
That's true. You can be friends with everybody. Going back to, this isn't church related, but friendship related. Oh man, where did it go?
Oh, sorry.
Thinking about, no, you're good. I do think there's an aspect, like one of the things I noticed when I moved is like any relationship is a give and take, right? Like you need that mutual investment. I know you're not saying that that's not the case, but I do think there is an aspect of like, okay, I've tried to
be friends with this person,
be friends with that person, or like stay connected through the move. And I haven't really felt that reciprocation.
Right.
And so not that I've like shunned them or like said like, I'm never talking with them again, but I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done then. Like if you're not going to reciprocate, like I'm not going to keep initiating.
But done for you is like, okay, I won't try and call as much.
Yeah, just not
but
initiating.
if you saw them tomorrow,
yeah,
you'd be
of course.
fine. You're not going to be
excited.
You're not going to be bitter.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
good.
done. Like, yeah.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
So,
I actually saw somebody at a coffee shop yesterday. I haven't seen in a long time, and somebody who was really close with us, and ran into this individual, and it was nice to not feel like, oh, this is awkward. We haven't talked in a long time.
Yeah.
It was just like, how are you? Tell me about your life. Like, and it was like, okay, great. Like, love you guys.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I mean it,
Yeah.
and to not feel any kind of tension or expectation,
Yeah.
I'm not saying friendship doesn't require that's why I go back to that AVAIL,
Yeah.
of like, because I do think a best friend is available, is vulnerable, is accountable, authentic, intentional, and loving. But it also doesn't look the same in every season. So,
for sure.
I don't know. Interesting conversation today, Captain Luke.
It is very interesting. And we just went right into it.
So, name your best friend. 1, 2, 3.
Well, my best friend is Abby.
Oh, there
Abby
you go.
Howard,
There
my
you go.
fiance.
Okay.
My best man is a fellow Luke.
My buddy Luke?
Romine. My buddy Luke from back in Kentucky.
Nice.
And he's one who that relationship has survived and continued to thrive.
Yeah.
Despite being a couple thousand miles apart.
Yeah.
Because of that mutual investment. It's not just me initiating. I think that would be really hard. And it's not just him, you know? There's been effort to connect when we're in each other's areas and connect via phone. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
What about you?
Probably, if I had to say, like, I've got like 2 or 3 that kind of fit that category of like catch up whenever. Probably Matt Allman or Brad McMahon. Brad's busy right now with kids too. So that's like even a season of life where it's like, we're not blaming each other, but it's like, if we caught up at a cabin, it would be hilarious and fun and real. Yeah. We'd laugh and cry. Same with Matt. Like, I think Matt and I chat a lot and talk about life, and he can call and say, dude, I got this huge decision to make. What do you think? And I can call and say, hey, we got this thing of unknowns. What do you think? And, but those were formed and I would say fused in a season of life where there was a lot of time. Yeah. Of it. You know what I mean? Like those, that I think you're right. Like those best friends, like there was consistency, activity, depth, shared interest, and time. Yeah. Like that it took to get to a place where it's like, and you can't really break that. Jenna's best friend is her name's Barb, and she lives in Indiana now. And she's kind of like a best friend to our family. And we got to see her when we went back to Illinois for Jenna's grandmother's funeral. And it's like, you pick up right where you left off. Yeah. And they were best friends since high school and have stayed best friends. Best friends for life. Yeah. I love BFFs is how the kids say it.
BFFL, best friend for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But not beyond life.
But not
clear.
beyond. Yeah. Not hopefully into eternity. BFFL HIE.
That's the new acronym.
Hopefully, the Lord willing, into eternity. We can talk about heaven next week if you like.
This feels like we had friendship as a topic and we were prepared. Maybe it doesn't sound like we were prepared actually, but
I just want to tell everybody, we come in totally blind.
Totally blind. I asked you yesterday, we should have a topic. What do you think? And you said something that wasn't serious. Like you did, like not a serious suggestion.
I don't even remember you saying that.
That's the only thing we said, and then we didn't talk about topics.
I don't think we talked the rest of the day.
We may have not, and that's why we're not best friends.
That's what's fascinating about this is that we could go a week without literally talking, because sometimes you got your headphones on, you're doing your thing.
Don't blame this on me.
And I'm spouting at the mouth about something, walking around the office, and we could just sit down and we can talk, and I can be 85% attentive to the conversation.
There you go.
I've noticed that about me. I listen back some. Yeah. Like, I need to be more focused.
I feel like you were focused and attentive today.
Yeah, I've closed my computer.
That's great. I love it. Well, this has been fun. You mentioned we can talk about heaven next week. We're not, because next week we'll be joined by a man named Brad Johnson,
Ooh,
who is
Mission
the
of Hope.
founder of Mission of Hope.
Founder?
Yeah.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was just, okay, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought we were just going to talk with like someone,
Joe
like a
Schmo.
rep, from Mission of Hope, and then it turns out it's Brad who's the founder. So
Okay.
we're recording that on Monday, and then I assume you and I will probably do a little sandwich thing later in the week.
Oh,
You're seeing how the sausage is made right now.
maybe.
And then we'll post it next week.
I'm leaving
So-
Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, that's right.
Not here Wednesday.
Well, we'll
so.
see. We'll see what happens. But look out for that next week. I'm excited
Mission
for
of
that.
Hope is an organization in the Dominican Republic and does ministry work in Haiti. That's how we pack meals. We pack meals through Mission of Hope and Kids Against Hunger.
Yeah.
Brad Johnson, not the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings formerly. That ages me. But also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Brad Johnson, the founder of
Mission of Hope. He's going to be sharing about, the work that they do. And I was told specifically about how our involvement with them has made a lasting impact in those areas that they're involved with. So excited for that.
Maybe, what if we become friends with Brad Johnson?
Yeah. And we have
Or,
consistent connection.
yes, depth of content.
And we do activities together.
And we do activities together. What if, though, we need to talk about enemies or frenemies.
What makes an enemy?
What makes a frenemy? Somebody
be
who you're
fun.
friends with, who you're also a nemesis
Who's
of.
your biggest enemy?
Like me and Jacob.
That would
Like
be
we're kind of
interesting.
frenemies.
Yeah. I would call that nemesis.
Yeah, he is my nemesis.
When you're
the youth pastor is my nemesis.
That's good. That is a joke.
It is
to
a
be
joke.
clear.
Sorry, I'm growing in that area.
Please say something nice about Jacob and how much you love
He
him.
is tall.
That did not help.
He looks like what did we put? Yeah, he is taller than me. And
Doubling down on it.
such
All
a
right.
Michael Scottism. He is tall and he wears nice shoes.
That's why
No,
we love
Jacob
him.
is very kind. He's very intentional. Isla said of Jacob, he's the best youth pastor I've ever had.
There you go. Eat your heart out, Skylar.
And I said, he's really the only youth pastor you've ever had because you've only had kids pastors before.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So not today. Okay, so now I have to come back and say something nice about Jacob.
Oh yeah. Well, you did.
Well, I kind of said it, but then I discounted what Isla said by
Okay.
saying,
Yeah.
he's kind. He's just a really good, and he's really smart. He's really smart. He's a
That's
really
true.
smart guy.
He is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, on that note, thanks so much for listening today. It's been fun.
Yes.
I hope you feel edified by this conversation and your
Go be a good
friendships.
friend. Go be a good friend.
Make a call, send a text, invite someone out to coffee.
I like how you're looking at the camera a lot today.
Yeah, I tried to.
Go,
That's the whole
go
point.
be a good friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll see you.
See you later.